Hello and welcome back to Prompt Circle, where we discuss real-world AI use cases and how to implement and deploy them into production. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Langsmith. Now, one thing that you may have noticed as you are on your LLM application building journey is that developing these applications, while these capabilities are exciting, deploying this into production can be a little bit tricky and challenging because the outputs you get from an LLM are not deterministic. They're quite probabilistic, which means that certain times or most times you're not getting the same exact responses from your prompt, but you want your application to produce predictable results. And this is why it's very important that you are testing and evaluating what your prompt and your LLM is doing at any given time. So other challenges also come up, like checking out, what's my token usage, was my prompt working as I expected? Was there something injected into my prompt that is making it behave the way it's behaving? All these different questions that we face while we're using or building these LLM applications. So in trying to solve for that, I think everyone probably has a different approach to doing this. I have a very quite manual approach to keeping track of my prompts, which one is working and which one is not, using different tools, even using the OpenAI playground to version my prompts and things like that. And that becomes really unsustainable as you sort of go through building these applications and continue to iterate on them. So with Langsmith, they provide this one platform, one-stop shop for you to test and evaluate, monitor, and debug your applications with a really easy to use interface that makes it very, very powerful. So we're going to be taking a look at Langsmith, how it works, and how it might be useful for the applications that you are building. And I'm not going to go into all the details about Langsmith in this video because there are quite a number of things that you can do. But we'll be touching on some of the key things that are kind of valuable for you to start looking at right now. So let's start by understanding how you can get access to Langsmith. So you need to just go to langchain.com/smith to get access. It's still in beta, but you can go ahead and sign up to get access. Once you sign up, you need to go get an API key. So in the dashboard, there's an API key section where you can create your own API key. Now, to get Langsmith working in your system, all you really need to do is to take this API key and export it as an environment variable or add it as an environment variable into your application. So you set the LangChain API key to the API key you just collected. You also need to set LangChain tracing _v2 to true. And then if you're using projects inside your Langsmith platform, you want to set the project as well. So as an example, as you can see here, I have a number of projects, 2 projects right now, and I can just simply set whichever project I want my traces to go to. So essentially, once you do that, when you make a run, as an example, let's go and take a look at one of our applications here. So if we were to run this, so what are the key things to learn about AI if I were to run this particular application? Now what's going to happen behind the scenes is that it's going to run typically like any LangChain application runs, but what's going to also happen as well is that you're going to notice that there is a trace. So you could see it right here. There is a trace. What are the key things to learn about AI, which was my prompt, and you see the output here. So this is sort of basically what it's helping you do. So it's tracking all the runs. So as you can see as well, it's telling me that this run was successful. It's showing me how many tokens were used. This is really important because token usage is going to be something that we have to pay attention to. I think at this point in time, we're sort of going along and sort of figuring out things, but as you build more applications and you're trying to sort of optimize your usage of tokens and things like that, then you want to track that. So you can see here, it tells us that we have 16 prompt tokens and 355 completion tokens. So 16 prompt tokens means it's the input token, and then the completion tokens are the 355. And here you can see exactly what was put in, like the input, and you can also see the output here as well. The other thing that we can see here also is the latency. So it's telling us that this was run within a 5.92 second time frame, which is really, really important. One of the things that I have struggled with certain retrieval augmented generation type application has been around latency. So I have been in scenarios where we've built an application and the latency, because it's doing some sort of retrieval, is up to 30 seconds in some cases. And maybe you have a lot of timeouts and you're not realizing why you're having the timeouts. Is it coming from, the LLM? Is the API working, or is it from somewhere else? And I think that's also something that is pretty cool about the way this particular Langsmith works. So for instance, I do have an application that I have deployed, which also has is using the retrieval QA chain to work. And when I run this, you could see right here that it tracks a number of things. It tracks, obviously, the success rate, if it's successful or not. It also checks, obviously, latency and the number of tokens used. But look at what it's doing here. It's looking at the different chains that we've added. So a retrieval chain is typically a retriever and the LLM itself. And as you can see here, on the retriever, we see that it's taking 7.78 seconds for this particular prompt to run. And it's also taking 1.62 seconds for OpenAI to actually deliver the result. So here you can start to see, okay, this is where my time is being spent the most, and maybe you want to optimize there. So I'm using Deep Lake as an example for this particular one. Now, what's really exciting about this, as you can see, is it gives you a lot of information here. So as an example, it's telling me that under the tags that this is a Deep Lake application, and I'm using OpenAI embeddings for this particular retriever, and it's showing me the documents that were returned when the response came back. It's also showing some information about the documents that came back as well. So this is really, really powerful, and you can go all the way down and see, okay, this is also kind of what's going on with my actual prompt to chat to OpenAI. This is what the prompt looks like. It's showing me exactly what the system prompt is, showing me where the context was injected. So there's multiple contexts here, as you can see, and it's showing all the context and how it's been injected into my prompt. It's also showing me the questions I'm asking directly here. So as you can see, the question is right here, and then it's showing me the output as well. So this is really, really powerful because you can try and see what's working, what's not working. You can evaluate these things. Now, like I said, there's so many things that you can also do with Langsmith beyond sort of just the tracing. You can also store your prompts or store the results, back into data sets. These data sets can then be exported and used as your training data or for fine-tuning data. So as an example, the result I got back, I stored it as a data set, and now I can basically export this into either OpenAI evals JSON-L or for fine-tuning as well. So this is a full-fledged system that is really, really key as we start to think about building these production grade applications. You start to see that these are very, very important things to keep in mind. So let's go back again and look at those runs one more time and see a few other things that are interesting here. So if we go back in here, you also have the ability to annotate these runs. So when a run is completed, you can go ahead and annotate it, and you can decide if it was correct or wrong, and you can also provide some kind of notes here. So this is really keeping track of what's working and what's not working as you sort of go along the way. Now it also has, filtering for, time series, depending on when you want to filter for. It also gives you the ability to check, your LLM calls. Also, in terms of filtering, it also has something that is pretty cool, which is sort of a dashboard showing you, some of the feedback you've gotten, some of the information you're getting, the volume, the number of traces or runs that you're having, your success rates, number of success rate when it comes to LLMs, latency, things of that nature. This is really amazing. In fact, I wish I had this access to this much sooner, because this has been quite a challenge trying to deploy these applications into production and almost sort of flying blind in a way. But with this, you can actually know exactly what you're doing. Like I said, there's so many other things that you can do with this. This also is the interface that gives you access to things like deployments. I'm going to be looking at Langsmith deployments very soon. I just recently got access to it, so I'm really excited to dive deep into it, and I'm going to make some video about this as well. Now, I'm also going to drop the link to the documentation for Langsmith if you're interested in checking it out. I would highly recommend that you actually use this application if you're building anything that is going into production. And even if you're not building anything that's going into production, just sort of keeping track of what's going on. It really simplifies the development process, and puts you at ease to make sure that you're building correctly, and you're providing the best user experience for your end users at the end of the day. I hope this is something that is informative for you. If you have any questions about using Langsmith or anything like that, feel free to drop a comment in the description. And if you like content like this about building LLM driven applications and stuff like that, I have a ton of videos where I go into showing the tutorials of how to build these types of applications. Feel free to drop me a note and subscribe if you want to get content like this. Until next time, have a great one. Bye.